Welcome back to FlamesNation.ca's bonus coverage of Round 2 of the 2022 Stanley Cup Playoffs, the Battle of Alberta edition. I'm Ryan Pike from FlamesNation.ca, again with Frank Seravalli from DailyFaceoff. How you doing, Frank?
Really good, Ryan. Can't wait for Game 2. I think we're going to learn not just a little bit more about the Flames, but a lot about the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, I mean, the Flames played a first-round series against Dallas where goals were at a premium, and by the middle of the second period, they'd almost matched their production from the first 3 or 4 games against Dallas. So safe to say, Game 1 was a lot different than the Dallas series.
It was actually it would have been 5 games. They didn't hit 9 goals scored until Game 5. How crazy is that? Such a difference in style. You know, Jake Ottinger, of course, to Mike Smith, but also just the entire game flow. And I think they all thought it would be different, but also refreshing in a way, as much as, you know, when you think about round 1 and how that really ramped up, you know, kind of started a little boring, and then games 5, 6, and 7 were money. In this game, it was absolutely bananas in Game 1. And, you know, that difference in style is jarring, but I think in a way it supports the Flames because they're able to buckle down defensively. They're able to really, you know, clean things up in their own end. I think there's going to be significant adjustments from them to just play a little bit cleaner in their own end, but they absolutely dominated at 5-on-5, Ryan. And that to me is the real key heading into Game 2, just sustain that attack and that pressure that came in wave after wave for the Flames because the Oilers didn't have an answer for it.
One player that absolutely owned the Flames in Game 1, which is strange because he wasn't that good at even strength against the Flames during the regular season, was Connor McDavid. The Flames put their top line of Tkachuk, Lindholm, and Johnny Gaudreau, and their top defensive pairing of Hanifin and Anderson against them almost exclusively at even strength. They outchanced them, but in terms of points, in terms of mistakes getting buried, 4 points for McDavid after having 0 in the regular season at 5-on-5. What do the Flames need to do to bottle up McDavid in Game 2?
Honestly, I don't know, you know, and it sounds funny to say, especially coming off of Darryl Sutter's comments. Of course, he's pumping up McDavid as the best player in the world in the off day between games, and he was a force at times for the Oilers. But, you know, when you look at that line and Leon Draisaitl and how much he's hampered, I think those injuries loom large, Nurse and Draisaitl for the Oilers. But not to say you don't pay attention to McDavid. Of course, you need to worry about the best player in the world. But when you look at the way that game unfolded, it was really kind of opportunistic in a lot of ways for the Oilers and the chances that they got. You know, the goals that went in on Markstrom really weren't that pretty. A lot of them came off of broken plays, things like that in this case, I think the Flames are in fine shape moving forward. If they get that same type of effort, they're probably going to get more saves from Markstrom and fewer points on the board for McDavid.
Well, you alluded to it. In the first round, the best goaltender in hockey was Jake Ottinger of Dallas. He's out of the playoffs. The second and third best goaltenders statistically were Mike Smith and Jacob Markstrom. They did not look like that in Game 1. Actually, and you know, we had 6 goals against for Jacob Markstrom. I think that's the most goals against he's allowed since a game in Florida in January, where half the Flames were coming back from a COVID stoppage. Mike Smith didn't even finish the first period. Both goalies are going to be starting, by the sounds of it, Game 2. What do you expect to see out of them?
You know, there was so much focus, Ryan, on Mike Smith on the off day. You know, should you go back to Mike Smith? Of course you should go back to Mike Smith. There's not even a shadow of a doubt, no question for me in terms of who should be in net for the Oilers. But as much attention and focus was on Smith, and of course that start was horrendous. 2 goals in 51 seconds, out of the game, wearing a ball cap, 6 minutes in, 3 goals against. They can't afford that type of start again, and the Oilers have started so poorly in the playoffs. 6 of their 8 playoff games have been atrocious in the first period. But more concerning to me than Smith was actually Markstrom, because I thought at some point they probably should have pulled him. You know, given how that game unfolded, given how they blew the lead, you know, it just felt like they maybe needed to, you know, change things up a little bit. I have no doubt that he'll respond, but as much as we expect Markstrom to respond, I think Smith will as well. And so, you know, in that case, I still give the edge to Markstrom in the series, but it certainly bears in mind a question, or a question mark at least, that Jacob Markstrom has to answer in Game 2.
And finally, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the unofficial mayor of Calgary, Brady Tkachuk. What are we expecting to see out of Brady tonight?
Mayor, mascot, I mean, there's a lot of different names that you could come up with for Brady Tkachuk. The purveyor of fun, the director of fun and games for the series, because who's having a better time than Brady Tkachuk, really, when you think about it. I just loved, the excitement from him. It's real. It's authentic. I don't know why people were slagging him on social media saying, this guy's the captain of the Ottawa Senators. Why is he here rooting on his brother, wearing a red T-shirt in the Dome? To me, it's his best friend. It's his brother. I love to see it. I love to see him armed with one beverage in one hand, 2 more in the back pockets. He was excited. The whole Tkachuk family has been excited, and that's really what it's all about. And so he's been right in the thick of it all, just as Matthew Tkachuk was in Game 1. The Tkachuk boys born for being right in the middle of all the madness.
I'll say this. If my big brother is playing the Stanley Cup playoffs, I'd be doing the same thing. Well, for Frank, I'm Ryan. Game 2 goes at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. It's a late one on CBC, Sportsnet, and ESPN, so make sure you get your pregame nap in.